Alrighty, Australia's on fire.
It is, and literally as well. Sorry if that's
Yeah, yeah. It's
probably not the best way to start things off.
31 degrees. Recording out of the Gold Coast. It is a moderately breezy day for our luck.
Not that that helps.
Not that it helps. No, not at all. All right. So this is our second episode. We'll probably keep it a bit more podcasty where we just like talk and try to cut the least amount as possible.
Mm.
All right. What is hemp?
What is hemp?
What are we talking about hemp? Because so whenever I thought of hemp, I always thought that like there's cannabis that you're smoking at high. That's like one type of plant, and then hemp would be like a completely different type of plant. That's always like until probably like a year or two ago, I never knew it was the exact same plant. There's no difference. Well, there's molecular differences behind them, but there's no actual like this is one plant, this is another plant.
And and with me, I guess before this year, I always thought hemp was just the male cannabis plant. Personally, like I always saw it as cannabis that people smoke is the female plant, and hemp, industrial hemp, is the male plant. But even that, is
It's wrong.
yeah,
It's wrong. I mean, it's not complete. It's not as wrong as I was, but it's
still wrong.
Still wrong.
Yeah, and a common misconception, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually researched it recently. I've looked up like what is hemp in Google, and usually there was like these like cannabis sites that kind of gave us the same answers as we just gave you throughout the years. But like I Googled it 2 days ago. It's on point now. They've updated everything. Like
Right.
everyone knows what actually hemp is. So if you would look it up on Google, you'll get that response, which is what is hemp doing?
Industrial hemp is a low THC variety of cannabis sativa.
Do we know how low? Like what are we?
Well, it depends on what country.
Yeah.
That's the confusing part. Where is the line drawn? In reality, I guess is an interesting question because like all we really have to classify hemp as is in Australia, it's I believe anything under 0.3% THC, and I think in the US it's under 1% THC.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
Yeah.
but regardless of that, like the confusion comes when we start realizing that you need like 7% THC in cannabis when smoking it to get high from it in the first place.
Right.
And obviously that would like vary depending on body weight and all that sort of stuff, but around 7%. So there's no reason that we shouldn't have hemp that can test above 1%,
Like yeah. Like 2-3%. Okay, so what are we talking here?
Yeah.
Like what is like the span for like cannabis of getting high? Like what is the THC content at the moment? Like how high does it get? Like what are we comparing it to? Like
What are we man, there's flower that's getting above 30% THC content now.
and that's like high range
Like
kind of
we're we're talking like 30% of this flower is THC. Like
okay.
is just THC.
Yeah.
How crazy is
Now
that?
is THC is that only in the actual bud or is that in the entire plant?
Most of the THC from what I've read is contained on the trichomes, which are the frosty bits on the outside of the plant. I'm
Right.
not too sure how much is contained within like the plant matter itself.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it's basically kind of like a coating of THC of the plant.
Yeah,
More or
from
less.
yeah,
Yeah.
more or less.
Okay. All right. Well, so industrial hemp. So that is where we draw the distinction. You can't just call it like really hemp because hemp is the same plant.
It's pretty crazy though because like over in the US they're getting hemp that looks frosty like high THC cannabis now too.
Oh,
So
really? Shit.
it's like
Are we swearing on this?
swearing.
I think we'll keep
No,
it like
I think
mild.
yeah, our parents are probably watching, so
So yes.
so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they're getting.
No, we need to keep it suitable for work. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So we got that. Anyway, Um, so industrial hemp. Now, why do we call it industrial hemp and not just hemp? Do you have any like idea of it?
Personally, I guess I like to call it industrial hemp because that's what we use it for, industrial
Industrial
purposes,
purposes, yeah.
not nutrition or medicine or recreational or anything like
Hmm.
that. So I guess that's the way that I just look at it. But
Yeah,
most people do just call it hemp.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing like somewhere online you can probably find like precise definitions. But I
And
think that makes sense though, like, right? No one would grow just hemp for the sake of non-industrial purposes. Like they'd probably turn it into something consumable for like yourself or someone else,
true.
I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't imagine what part of the plant can't be consumed. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
and
I just imagine
if
someone just chewing on like a hemp stalk, like panda style. Um, yeah.
no, even the biomass, the leftover bits after like people are growing for seed or CBD and stuff. There's a huge thing in the US right now where everyone growing for CBD just has like
Mm.
tons of biomass left over from harvest that
And growing for CBD to like narrow it down, that's growing the non-hemp variety, I guess. That would be like
no.
more like marijuana style.
Mm,
Well, okay, so
well,
what it,
what do you?
let's
That's
break it down. What is the difference between hemp and marijuana? You know, we kind of have to address that, right?
the difference is
The THC
the
content,
THC.
right?
It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
Yeah, the THC. It's not the gender of the plant. It's not
yeah.
anything. Like it grows differently in different geographical locations,
And
but
the growing process is so like the buds are obviously what you smoke to get high, right? And that's only grown by the female plant when it's infertile. Is that correct?
well, the
Even fertile ones?
yeah, even cannabis plants that have been pollinated and have started to grow seed,
Hmm,
it only loses like 50% of its cannabinoid content.
right.
So, from my understanding, you still get flower from it, just not as much.
Yeah, right.
Like nowhere near as much, of
And
course.
that
But
flower will be like under 0.3%
well,
THC.
that's the problem. Like that's why they have to. From my understanding, that's why they have to have like um, separate separate breeds specifically for industrial purposes
Hmm.
because like they've anything can be any cannabis plant can be used for industrial purposes, but when it comes to the cannabinoid content, you have to keep it low.
Yeah, yeah, right. Right. Okay. Well, it's probably not as complicated as we make it sound, but it probably is
Well,
kind of as complicated.
it's an interesting discussion, I think,
Mm.
because the only real like outlines we have the legal definitions that have been skewed for so long
Yeah,
that have just
right.
been
There's just not enough
understand they haven't
understanding in
yeah.
it. Yeah, it's just become popular within like the past couple of years. Another interesting thing I want to bring up. I read we posted like this kind of fact sheet style post on Instagram a few months ago, and it was from an article that I found in the US where a judge had to throw out um, a case where a young guy got caught with like possession of marijuana, like he had buds that you smoke, and then the judge had to throw it out because they had to test the bud whether it was below the threshold of what's considered hemp or not. And because their facilities aren't really like prepared to do that kind of thing, the judge was like, "No, screw it. You can just go. We can't really find out whether this is like illegal cannabis or legal cannabis."
Mm,
I'm guessing it still got confiscated, but you know, it's it's a gray area at the moment.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the tests are becoming easier, so that from when I read that article, it was the fact that there were so many tests that had to be done that
Mm.
that their system was just completely backed up with them.
So,
Yeah,
get a bit of noise. I'll cut that out. Alright.
all good.
Yeah, when you touch the cord, I just did that. When you touch the cord, it makes like a real weird burping sound. So just try to avoid that. Yeah, yeah. So that's what hemp is basically. Now, is there anything you want to add to that in particular?
Well, the grey area that kid got away with won't be around for long. There's more tests. There's easier tests coming out now that determine THC content and everything a lot quicker than
Right.
previously. So that won't be as much of an issue. But that's continued going on, I guess. You know, like in New York, there was some I can't remember how many pounds of hemp that was being transported through New York, but this guy got pulled over, and even though sorry, he didn't get pulled over. It was a FedEx driver that was delivering this
Of
package.
course, it's always the
And
postman.
even though it was like legal and it was certified on the package to be legal and okay, this guy still called the police and said that he had a suspicious package in the back of his car.
Whoa.
And then, yeah, how's that? Hey,
Whoa.
snitch.
Yeah, I was looking for the word. It's whistleblower. Damn. So they just confiscated it and that was it?
Well, it ended up incurring like a $36,000 loss to this guy's business. So he's
Yeah.
fighting to get it back. And the last I read, I'm pretty sure he was going to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
That's pretty heavy.
grey area right
Yeah.
there. I guess they need maybe like special companies that deal in the transportation of hemp specifically in the US.
Just
so
like the how I'm not sure if it's still like that in the US, but when the dispensaries first opened in like the legal states, because like banks couldn't take their money because under federal law or something, like cannabis was still illegal, but under state law, like they were allowed to do it. So what they had to do is like what they did was hire ex-military people and gave them jobs to pretty much protect this massive amounts of money that the dispensary would make and then take it to like, I guess they'd have to deposit it like personally or something like that. I'm not sure how it worked,
I
but
wonder where they were depositing it.
Exactly.
Banks wouldn't work with them then.
yeah.
Huh.
So it would be just like a giant stash of
Where were dispensaries? What?
they'd like have like Scrooge McDuck, like big what's the DuckTales one where the guy was like diving into like the safe full of cash? Do you remember that?
No,
It was like
I
a
don't know.
90s cartoon. Yeah, like swimming. I just imagine dispensaries just having like a giant building and just filled to the brim to the top with like just money.
How's that? Either that or they got to no, it's in seriously good money laundering practice, right? It's one thing or another.
Yeah, that's true. Is it still considered money laundering if it's like legal statewide? So,
Statewide, nationwide, that's a US problem. Let's not get into that.
yeah, okay.
Like, yeah.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Leave that to the
See, that's the cool
Americans to
thing.
deal
Like,
with.
we see the hemp industry making its way into Australia and like making waves here with the foods, the clothing, and like even CBDs. Like the medical side of it is. We don't want to tell anyone about that, but it's like it's getting around. But we are pretty much sitting here like watching America make all of the mistakes and then hope we won't repeat them. You know.
We definitely will.
Yeah, we definitely will. Yeah, unfortunately.
Or we'll have our own, I guess.
Or that.
I mean, I guess the Australian government's approaching the whole marijuana thing pretty like in a pretty interesting way. I think it's like slowly popping up facilities and giving licenses so that it's not just flooding
Yeah.
like it happened in the US.
Yeah.
So I guess we kind of did learn from that.
But I think was it WA that like made a certain amount of cannabis legal?
ACT.
ACT, yeah. But we can see that here, like statewide, the laws are so different. And then and I'm pretty sure Queensland is like one of the strictest ones when it comes to drug use.
Yeah, I think
So,
I think a couple of other states have had decriminalized cannabis for a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Territories have been under territory law, so it's been decriminalized in the ACT for a little while.
Right.
It was just made
Try and
like,
talk to the audience in the little you see the little black dot up there? We're actually filming.
hello.
So try and like
Sometimes I forget.
yeah.
Get caught up in
Just
conversation.
just ignore me and then like converse with them. just a bit. We don't want to make them feel too important.
Hey man, it's my second time. I'm still learning
Second
how to
time.
find a balance.
Oh man. Speaking of second times, the bar last night. We did not know how to order a drink. We haven't gone out in so long. The lady came up. She's like, "What do you want? What is it? Do you want some drinks, or what are you drinking?" And then our buddy was like, "Yes, yeah, we're drinking." Anyway, so that's how prepared we are for doing these kinds of things. Do you want to talk about like our clothing a little bit and
Yeah,
the messages
sure.
behind? Because I feel like people see our designs and they're like really in your face.
Mm.
That's my personal perspective on it. But like they're clean, they're nice, and not too offensive, but there's still like this little taste about them, like a specific kind of feeling in your
The
mouth.
like that fringe element, I guess. Like
Yeah,
the
like that little dry cotton mouthy. Nah,
there's the stigma, I guess.
the
Just the
stigma.
stigma behind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when people see it, it's
What word?
like I feel like it might hit them a certain way, especially the shirt that he's wearing. It's more than a pot plant.
Hmm.
And we came up with that design to it's specifically that design was made to like destigmatize what pot is, because another name for cannabis is pot, like street name, if you want to call it a street name. But you don't get that here much. It's more like America, hey, like pot,
Pot. I don't know. I think it's more of an
like a
older
movie culture. I
generational
feel
type
like,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The cat's gonna.
Luna, Luna, Luna.
She's messing with the tripod. That's okay.
Papa, come here.
We'll look at it after, and the video's all wonky.
Told you.
Meow. Just trying not to hit the mic. Oh, there we go.
Hey guys, this is Luna.
So with our t-shirts, yeah, it's the stigma that people feel uncomfortable with, and because we are rocking it so like broadly, it's like hemp, a gift from nature to all of mankind.
I think that's the more moderate design out of the two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the more like low-key one because you're like really supporting a cause, and the other one is if you're feeling a bit frisky and you want to like show off your
Stand out in the crowd.
yeah,
Maybe
like
stick out and let the police notice
yeah.
you.
It would be a good diversion shirt if you're like running with the wrong crowd. You can just wear it and then the cops know they'll go for you and then everyone else can get away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. We're not giving you ideas, but it's just something.
Uses for our clothing. We gotta sneak some sales messages in
Yeah,
somewhere.
exactly. Yeah, it's all about utility, We have to create demand for it. Yeah, but another thing is with these clothings, when people like feel them, they're a lot thinner than your average shirt. Now, I feel like the main reason would be is because we live in Australia. I think that's the best way to go. Like you're not sweating as much.
Honestly, thank God we have shirts this thin compared
Yeah.
to like anything else I'm seeing
one-
most people wearing outside at the moment. Because with the breathability of hemp and the heat at the moment,
Yeah,
you want a thin shirt.
yeah. And the best thing about hemp is it absorbs moisture faster and it dissipates it quicker. So like it evaporates and like works through it better. So you're not like sitting there in a soaked shirt constantly. There's actually a better chance of it like drying out and you're a lot more comfortable. Where cotton, it's one of our blogs, something to do with like we wrote about it in one of the this is so bad, we don't even know our own blogs. In one of them we wrote about
The UV resistance.
yeah, like UV resistance and all that. Like why wear hemp? Was that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, where we compare like the cotton absorption dissipation compared to like the hemp one. The hemp was by far superior. So that's why we decided to go with like I think these are 155 GSM shirts, which makes it on the lighter side. Where people usually buy from like shops with cotton, you're buying around 180 to 200 GSM. So that's a significant quite significant difference in thickness, and you'll really feel it in this heat. Like
Yeah.
it's that little, 40 GSM. I'm pretty sure it stands for like grams per square meter. in terms of like making the
Yes.
fabric.
Yes.
And that little like 40 grams makes a giant difference. Huge. I'm still sweating. I'm not saying this is like the be
Yeah.
all and end all,
No.
but it's a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not gonna have to get rid of your air conditioning unit, but
Yeah, no,
it'll
please don't.
definitely help.
It's funny because you don't have air conditioning and I don't have air conditioning at my place. So I feel like we're dropping the ball.
That's okay.
Yeah.
At least we got hemp clothing.
Yeah, that's it. Got plenty of that. So with the hemp clothing as well, it's we're pretty much doing this to well, Kush Kingdom Australia is basically about like building a community and informing people about hemp and all the things that it can do.
Mm.
And the clothing is more of a way to letting us keep doing what we're doing. Like we try to we'll make a few designs that are a bit more like
Subtle.
subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit more fashionable.
Yeah.
I think that's the word to go. Like where you're not like wrapping a brand, but you're kind of like wearing something that you'd go out in. So that's like the next stage. But with all these like clothing pieces, we want to basically it's just a way of supporting us to keep informing people around us of what hemp is.
Mm. Yeah. This way, we can just keep doing what we're doing the way
Yeah.
that we're doing it. And
Exactly.
yeah, I guess the next thing is getting more out into the public and
Mhm.
spreading the word more because
Super important.
we're online now and
Yeah.
now
I
we
mean,
just got to get that going.
Like even just the recent post about the hemp bioplastics that we did, that a writer did for us. We didn't actually write this one.
Yeah.
His name is Chris, right?
Chris, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, he's a great writer. He's very entertaining. So go
Incredible.
check it out. The writing style is completely different, and it's a lot like it's a bit funny, a bit more entertaining.
Yeah, and just by the way, guys, we are really, really keen to work with more people with
Yeah.
with writing for us and everything, and we want to put together that platform so that writers can have a chance to share their messages about what they're passionate about as well, and ideally that would be hemp. So if
Yeah.
anyone is interested in writing about hemp and has any specific interests there,
Yeah.
please get in touch. Like we're really open to working with more
Yeah.
people.
And I want to elaborate on that because not even in writing, like I'd love to get some like people that are interested in like making their own clothes or their own designs that have some cool ideas that are like something they really want to pursue that they're passionate about. If you want to reach out and we can talk about it and see where like if you can like fit in somewhere within Kush Kingdom Australia, that'd be really, really cool. We
Indeed.
just want to do less outsourcing outside of Australia and
Yeah, we want to keep it in.
Yeah.
We want to keep it inside Australia with
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, ideally we want the whole business to be completely functional and like yeah, in Australia for the Australian people.
Amen.
Even though neither of us are Australian.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're citizens, don't kick us out. But yeah, no, we love Australia. I'm
We
just
do.
gonna throw it out there just in
We-
case you got the wrong idea.
Dude, we don't. I don't know about the heat, but we love
Oh,
Australia.
man. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about, the bioplastics thing. It really elaborates on how hemp can actually help the planet. That's another blog post name, How Hemp Helps. Check it out. Oh, no. Anyway, yeah, so, and one of the things that that Chris put in there is that hemp is a, what do you call it? A gluttonous CO2
CO2
pig.
pig.
Yeah, so that like 1 acre absorbs like 20 tons of carbon emissions, like CO2
Yeah,
in the
can't
atmosphere.
remember the exact number, but it's
Yeah, it was 20,000. I'm pretty sure like I just posted about it today. And that makes a giant difference considering that it's like it reuses it, and that CO2, once you harvest the hemp, we're not like burning it back into the atmosphere. That literally goes into clothing, into plastic, into whatever you want, like with a lot of especially fossil fuels, I guess, if you compare to plastics, once you dig them out, all the machinery causes carbon emissions. And then what you use it for, which is like fuel and making plastic and shit, all of that and shit, and all of that process is also creating more CO2 emissions. Where hemp pretty much has like I guess it's called a positive feedback loop, maybe. But I'm not an expert in terminology, so maybe we won't throw that in there. But it's good. It's really good. And yeah, it will make the world less hot. So we should definitely
Please
we
grow
should
more
definitely
hemp.
opt for that. Man, we got Canadian firefighters that flew over to fight fires, obviously, for free. Like none of them were getting paid, and they're
That's
fighting fires
amazing.
for like 12 hours. I think it was like 12 hours a day that the news was talking about. But man, it's getting rough. It's getting rough out here.
Dear.
And I think yeah, this business is our way of trying to help.
Yeah,
That's the best way to put it, right?
yeah. That is the ultimate goal, I guess. Yeah.
That is the ultimate goal. What's the next thing? So I think we're doing pretty well, like going topic to topic. We'll probably keep our videos a bit more like this, where we kind of like we literally thought of all of this to talk about like 10 minutes beforehand, and we're doing okay-ish, I guess. You'll be the judge of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so next thing we want to talk about is a bit of like business side with the Facebook and Instagram ads.
Mm.
Now, I feel like you have more experience in dealing with all those things, so maybe enlighten us on what the situation is.
Yeah. So, because of the complicated legal status of hemp around the world, Facebook being a global platform almost, minus China and all that,
Yeah,
um,
they're still there, but they have like
VPNs and stuff
different
for it.
rules as well for it. Like Google, especially, they have completely different laws for Google in China than the rest of the world.
Right. I
Yeah,
didn't even know. Didn't think they had Google in
yeah.
China.
No,
They
they made
do
like a
still.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they made a
Yeah.
deal. I think. Yeah. So continue.
I forgot what I was talking about.
So you were talking about the situation with Facebook, a global
Advertising.
company,
Yes.
and the laws.
So basically, because the laws are different.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard. I understand. That is the reason why it's so like I'm wiping my face like every 5 minutes. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Um,
So Facebook basically says they have to take every country's laws into account
mhm.
when it comes to advertising. So they won't allow any paid promotions of anything that's, in that grey area of global law.
Mm.
So things like hemp, for example, are not. Facebook doesn't take money for paid advertising there.
Yeah.
They make companies do it completely organically,
Mhm.
and they turn down any request for paid advertisement if these words are picked up.
Yeah, and those words in specifically are in the website links, aren't they?
Well, this is something I'm still experimenting with to find out whether it's the domain name or whether it's the keywords in the domain name that Facebook picks up, or it's the key terms on the actual web page
Right.
that Facebook picks up.
Right.
So still kind of running tests to figure out what it is, but I mean it could be both. It could be
Yeah.
neither, and back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
But basically Facebook has a automatic crawler that whenever you run an ad to a specific web page, the crawler checks out that web page, checks out the link, and either says yes or no based on that. And when it comes to hemp, it's
Pretty
90.
efficient at it.
Yeah, they're very quick at saying no,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they don't really deal with manual approvals too well.
Yeah. No.
Still sending automated responses back and everything, even though it abides fully by the Facebook terms and conditions.
Mhm.
The ad policies specifically state that, right, no medical things are allowed, no illegal things are allowed,
No
but
hemp consumables specifically.
awareness and advocacy campaigns are
Right.
allowed.
Yeah.
So Facebook does allow like awareness and advocacy campaigns, which is what the ads that, for example, we'd run to our blogs
Yeah.
would be. It's
Yeah.
awareness. We're not trying to promote a product that we're selling. We're getting the word out there about something.
Yeah.
But they're still turning it down because of certain keywords
Yeah.
in certain places, which again, still trying to figure out.
Real touchy-feely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with clothing, we haven't really tried advertising the clothing, have we?
Clothing seems okay
Yeah.
because we don't have the word hemp in
Yeah.
our name, in
Yeah.
our domain name.
We only have a very derivative street name for cannabis in our domain name,
Yeah.
which actually helped us more than it hurt
Well,
us, I suppose.
Man, I think that's another cool thing to talk about, why we chose the name, because
Yeah.
clearly we have nothing to do with marijuana whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like we're not promoting that in any way. This is what we're doing is completely about hemp and the industrial applications for it. And we chose Kush again because of the stigma,
Stigma behind
attached
it, yeah.
to it.
And for those-
much like with the shirt.
For those of you that don't know, Kush is like a slang for marijuana, like that you smoke. So you've got some dank Kush.
Kush.
I feel like an
OG
old
Kush.
person saying it. Yeah.
Classic strains. Kush
Classic strains.
is a type of cannabis, like
Right.
a specific
Like a name for a certain strain.
genotype. I'm not too sure. It's
Yeah, right.
you have your Kushes, your hazes, your different types that have very specific tastes,
Right.
generally
I didn't
attributed
know that.
to
I thought it
them.
was just like a slang that you throw around. It's like, oh, I got some Kush.
Could
That's-
could talk for hours on this. I
Yeah.
love cannabis literature in general.
Yeah.
Like, can yeah. Guess that's a
good save.
yeah. That's
Yeah, so Kush Kingdom was basically it's a bit of like an in-your-face name.
Mm.
So
because
that's
everything is the cannabis plant.
everything. Yeah.
The whole thing. So
So what happened was we got a phone. I'm recording off my phone, and I got a phone call, and it just interrupted the whole video. So that's okay.
can you do? We
We'll
were
continue.
talking about the name Kush Kingdom.
Yeah, Kush
So choosing the name Kush was pretty much, I guess, leaning into the negative stereotype that was built up around this plant back in the 30s.
Yeah.
So I guess because back when Prohibition happened, it was separated. Marijuana and hemp were separated, and it's why I think a lot of people have thought that they're two different plants
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
very long time. But they are the same plant. But in the time that they were different plants, a lot of different names have come out for this one plant.
Mhm.
And some of them have, well, I guess all of them have a negative connotation attached to them, but more so the negative connotation comes with terminology associated with marijuana, the smokable cannabis plant that gets people high.
Yeah.
Still the same cannabis plant as industrial hemp. And yeah, Kush was a massive name for marijuana. Very, very commonly used and well known.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to attack the stigma
Yeah.
and
By
bring
carrying
them
on the legacy.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring them
Yeah.
together again.
Yeah. United.
So they're no longer a separate plant in people's eyes.
Yeah. And I think that's become really widespread these days too, that it's not a separate plant.
Yeah.
As we have discussed earlier. So yeah, that's the name behind it,
Mm.
I guess. That's why we call it Kush Kingdom Australia. Now, there are some thoughts of rebranding. There's been discussions.
Yes.
Not because we're embarrassed of the name, don't get us wrong,
Love the name.
but
There is
it is a very common name.
another.
There isn't it? Well, I think like the main thing is that if you type in Kush Kingdom into Google, what you're going to get is the Kingdom of Kush, which was like an ancient Egyptian empire or something like that. Like there's an actual place called the Kingdom of Kush. And so by far outranks anything that we can possibly do. So if you want to like find this, you literally have to type in Kush Kingdom Australia. Otherwise, you'll be hit with like historic pages, Wikipedia and stuff like that. So we kind of want to like steer away from it a little bit more. So you might see us under a different name in
The future.
distant,
Yeah.
probably distant
Next,
future.
maybe like 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, 2020.
If
We'll
we
see what
end up
happens.
if we end up going into that.
Yeah,
But I guess it really depends.
yeah,
Really depends on how it all goes.
yeah, yeah. We'll see how. Yeah,
And there's
that's most of
there's
it.
the issue of the Kush Kingdom in America too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, yeah,
The dispensary turned clothing line.
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so they're like this like really cool like smokers brand. Like they got some really dope. Like I watched one of the videos on like a trailer for their store, I think, and they're like smoking weed and got these like badass shirts, and it's all about like yeah cannabis consumption, and they look great, man. They look great. So I thought it's kind of cool because like it's two different sides of the same thing. It's almost like an evil twin in a way. So like we got like kind of like with hemp and cannabis, like
Yes.
marijuana. So we're like kind of like hemp, and they're kind of like cannabis, and it's misunderstood, and there's like the separation, but it's really the same thing. So it's kind of cool and fun, but
Maybe
like
instead of rebranding, we should combine.
yeah, join forces.
Merge.
Yeah. No, yeah, there's that too. So we're kind of like figuring things out and seeing where we're going to go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like with the podcast, just like with everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still figuring it out. But
Yeah. There could be a chance that we might do these videos and podcasts on a different name because we kind of want to we kind of like discuss it really briefly, but we want to branch it out into like not just hemp but like
Yeah.
eco-friendly things. So we can discuss more than just like cannabis plant. We can discuss other things, get into bamboo and solar power and electric cars and anything that's good for the
Anything,
environment.
yeah.
That'd be cool to talk about.
that, yeah, really, I guess, gives hope for that brighter future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like we really want to push that there's more things to be done. Yeah. So I think that covered most of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
All right.
Well, I guess that wraps up our second episode.
Yeah, man, we are two sweaty CO2 pigs. Jesus Christ. This is
I hope
horrible.
I'm not. Am I consuming CO2?
Well, you're bringing it into.
Isn't that oxygen?
Yeah, but oxygen is only like a very minuscule amount in the air. So there's heaps of different gases in the atmosphere. And oxygen makes up like, I think it was like in the low 20% or something like that.
Right.
Probably even lower. So yeah, we're mostly
This is,
consuming other
this is
stuff.
cool stuff. Like this is.
Yeah.
It's like would love to be able to talk more about all this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, just more
cool
about
little-
things we know nothing about.
cool little stuff we know, little things we picked
Yeah,
up along the way,
yeah.
and can be like, maybe do some research on the
Yeah.
spot and
Yeah, well, that's it.
discuss, debate.
We also want to hear your opinions and your suggestions because we're no experts by any means. We just have this passion to make something of us to help the planet. So
Nice.
yeah, if you got ideas, if you got recommendations, hit us up. We'll see what happens. And anything you
Love
want
to
to
hear
say?
from you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cool.
that's about it.
thanks for listening.
Cut.
Cut. Okay.